Welcome to Metaphysical Mississippi. I'm your host, Emily, and of course, we have co-host Krista with us. And today we have Jason Lee with Heart Space Holistic, and he specializes in sound healing sessions. How you doing today, Jason?
I'm good. Thank you. How are y'all doing?
Good. You know, I'm a big fan of you, and I've wanted to have you on here since we started doing this, and I'm getting chills just thinking about it
because I have to say, it's all his fault.
It is.
It is. All of this is his fault.
It is. Because truthfully, you were my first major woo-woo experience.
Wow. I did not know that.
And you unblocked a chakra, which I still don't know what that means, in my throat. And the mouth has not quit since.
She has not shut up since
Wow. Good to know. Good to know.
But anyway, I've shared about that, and I'll share a little more later if it feels appropriate, because this is not the Emily show or the Krista show.
Well, you are more than welcome to share whatever your throat chakra tells you to share. Speak it.
Well, anyway, we actually well, you may not remember me, but I remember you years ago. We both worked at a call center together, and so it's just kind of cool how you come back into each other's orbit,
Right. Yeah.
in totally different stages of life and in a different
Uh-huh.
yeah, and to know that you were you were so close to Krista now, and but anyway, why don't you share a little bit about I like to ask people what began you into your metaphysical journey or into spirituality, and did you grow up in an environment where the metaphysical or spirituality was just
No, not at all.
At home?
No.
And then we'll just go into what you do now, like sound baths and all that fun.
Okay. Yeah. So the home thing, no, not necessarily. I was never kept from exploring things or anything like that. Where it began, I've always been, I guess, I wasn't a weird child, but I was always inquisitive about things. And we had the opportunity. I went to many different types of churches. I had friends that were Pentecostal, Catholic, Jewish, you name it. And I've probably been to that type of ceremony or church. I will say, I was thinking about this podcast. I got to thinking back about things, and I remember my first trip to Toys R Us, and this may have been, I'm dating myself, but this may have been when Toys R Us was kind of new. When you walk in as a kid, my aunt took me, and you have this you just walk in and there's aisles of toys and games, and immediately the first thing I went to and picked up was a Ouija board. And I didn't know what it was as a kid. I read the box and I was like, oh, this is it. I don't want Candyland. I want this Ouija board. So that was probably my first experience into metaphysical things as a kid. But even growing up, I always saw, like, my first science project, I grew my own crystals. I was just always into that kind of thing. It was just what drew me in to learn about. So yeah.
Oh, the Ouija board. I mean, did you play with it a whole lot? I mean, did you buy it?
My aunt bought it for me. It's what I wanted, and I think was pretty persistent about it, so I got it. Now we had some friends, we played with it every now and then, but it was never like this intense thing.
Yeah.
Nothing
No
like
negative
Did
experiences.
it
no
work?
negativity at all.
Okay.
No.
Yeah.
I've
Yeah.
heard just things that Ouija boards are scary. And
Yeah, no.
I mean, it's the gateway to hell. No, just joking.
Yeah,
The gateway to
but
opening ever. So I was just curious
right.
if you
Yeah. But no opinion on that. It just was my first experience, as a kid with something metaphysical. But
Mhm.
always interested in ghosts and paranormal, like, things like that. It's just, curious kid.
Yeah.
And you were allowed to explore that to
Yeah, I was. It wasn't like now keep in mind I grew up mostly with a single mom, so I had a lot of free time to learn, to do whatever I wanted to do.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool.
Mhm.
So what got you into sound healing?
Sound healing itself.
Yeah.
When I was younger, I went to massage therapy school. That was one of my first things I did out of high school. Is I decided I wanted to go to massage therapy school. And we learned different modalities. We learned about Reiki, Shiatsu, and different healing modalities, around the world and stuff. And it was mentioned in school, but it was never like a in-depth course or, in-depth learning about it, but it always stuck with me. So about 5 years ago, I'm full-time, I'm a nurse, and I was burnout, healthcare these days. And I was like, something's got to give. I missed that true healing interaction, the time, holding space for somebody that you got with massage. So I was like, it hit me. I was like, I'm going to order a set of bowls and just start playing with them and see how it goes. So that's what I did.
Oh.
Yeah.
Had you ever experienced a sound healing session before that?
No, not in person. I've used like frequent, different healing frequencies and stuff like that, recordings, but I've never had never experienced it myself. So I have some friends who were my guinea pigs. Lay them out on the floor and just get their feedback on it for quite a while. Yeah, learn how to. Each bowl is a different note, and I'm not musically trained at all, but I learned the notes. And it's about learning how to play the bowls. What makes I would call a happy sound. You can get some really distracting sounds if you're not careful. So just learning how to handle the bowls and different instruments and stuff was just it's all self-taught for me.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I have a question about Reiki real quick, because when you learned about it in massage therapy school, did y'all receive a full attunement, or did y'all just learn about it? And
yeah, we learned about it, and an attunement was offered for anybody that wanted to pursue practicing Reiki. So I did the level 1 attunement in massage therapy school.
Very
20 years ago. Yeah.
23
years, 2000, 23 years ago now.
Yeah, wow. Wow.
Wow.
I love that.
Yeah.
Do you think being attuned helps you play? Well, I know Reiki has to do with bringing in source energy. Do you think being attuned helps you to, control the sound with the bowls? Or what leads you, what guides you to I mean, you may have a script, not a script, but you may have you know, you do this kind of sound at this certain time when you're doing a session. But
Mhm.
do you have some kind of spirit or source that guides you in?
I call it, people ask, you know, how do I plan it? I just say it's intuitive. Like I've learned tempo, you know, the speed of the sound, um, which bowls reverberate good with each other and which do not do that so much. But it's it's a meditative process for me while I'm playing. So
I've been to several, and I don't think any of them have been the same.
yeah, I don't plan any certain routine. I don't have a written routine. It's just all I mean, I have certain things that I do
Yeah.
regularly, but the whole set is just free flow, I guess you would call it.
Mhm.
So, when I did just a little Google research on sound bowls and sound healing, someone said that it's like a cellular massage.
Yes.
Do you
Uh
consider that
yeah,
to
and it's
be?
referred to some people refer to them as a cellular massage because the vibrations, you know, in physics and metaphysics, everything is a vibration. So the vibration, excuse me, that's created with the bowls, it affects us on a cellular level. So that's why sometimes I've called it a brain massage, you know, because it's the left brain, right brain hemisphere reaction that causes the therapeutic response. But so it's called many different sound bath, uh, vibroacoustic therapy. You'll hear it called that. So there's lots of different terms for it. It's just, I think it's whatever each practitioner prefers is what you're going to hear it called.
Is meditating singing bowls the same thing?
Yes. Now those are a tool.
Oh,
So that's a tool you would use for a sound bath or sound therapy.
so you use crystal bowl. Well, I've seen you use crystal bowls.
Mhm.
So would a meditating singing bowl be different than a crystal bowl or a Tibetan metal bowl?
No, that's meditative bowl is a broad term for
Oh, okay.
any
That's the
kind of general term.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's your favorite to use? What's your favorite type of bowls to use when you're?
So my favorite are the crystal bowls. Now I have metal bowls and I love those too. Um, and I do use them for certain things during a session. But for actually getting the vibration and the frequency going, I use mostly crystal bowls. So,
Okay.
and when I say crystal, let me emphasize this because people ask, and I'll say, "Oh, they're crystal bowls," and their eyes get this big because I think they immediately go to quartz, you know, crystal,
Yeah.
and it's silica is really what it's a heated sand, so it's heated really high to a high temp and then poured into a mold. Um, but they are called crystal bowls. I just want to emphasize they're not short, you know, they're not that.
Gotcha. Right. So,
Okay.
okay.
I actually thought they were selenite.
Oh,
So
yeah, they look like selenite. They really
yeah,
do.
yeah.
And I wouldn't know selenite if it met me on the
It's just,
corner. Okay, so this is the very important question. At a party, will you be in the corner with a glass,
the wine glass.
wine glass?
No, no, no.
Joking. No, I was gonna say, do you
I don't.
approach life, you know,
Oh, no, I might. Yeah.
audibly, you know? I mean, are you more in tune with just like a drummer, you know, probably goes around
Mhm.
drumming on things all the time? Are you a lot more
Yeah. Now
tuned?
I do that. Yeah, I do
Yeah.
that some. Um, but I think I do tend to notice, you know, things, you know, sounds.
Yeah.
Wind chimes, I love wind chimes. They're very good. And I've actually got some that I'll use in sessions sometimes, just wind chimes,
Oh,
yeah.
but
So,
they'll be there. You'll use something. What is it
as an
called?
instrument or a tool,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
All right.
So
So
if we haven't actually said it, what exactly is what might one expect what if someone's never heard of sound healing before or
Yeah.
the singing bowls?
What would they expect during a session?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I always say, this is what I always say to someone. If it's your first time, it's gonna be very weird for your brain, for your left brain especially, because that's our analytical, everyday, go, go, go world brain. Um, and it's hard. So my thing is it's always gonna be weird at first because you're trying to figure out, okay, this is happening over here, but I hear this over here. It sounds like it's over here, but I know he's sitting in the corner, so there's a lot of analytical stuff going on at first. So I always say during a session, one of the most important things you can do is focus on your breath. Because if you're focused on the breath, everything else will fall into place with the sound and the brain analyzing and brain waves. So yeah, that's one thing. And I always like to say, set an intention, but don't have an expectation, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
yeah.
Because when you set an expectation, it leaves you open to analyze more during the session rather than to relax and focus on your breath.
Well, I had no idea when I first experienced it, and and only later did I realize that the meditation, I'd never really experienced that, and that meditative state that the sound takes you to.
Mhm.
And I've heard now that's called, is it beta state, or maybe there's other states.
Theta brainwaves. Yeah.
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 Beta.
I didn't even know that, but I was just, woo. I mean, my brain just went. Well, I've mentioned it was cinematic for me to just lay there. And of course, I had no idea what was going on other than just lay there and I think y'all put a blanket over me, and I was in
Mhm.
a zero gravity chair. Is that what it was
Yeah.
called when I had my session? And
Yeah.
um, I don't even know if I just remember closing my eyes, and Chris was like, "Now let us know if the sounds get too,
Yeah.
pitched or something." So I was like, "Oh, what is she talking about?" With my first session, but I was just amazed at where my brain went. I mean,
Mhm.
all the thoughts that came in there, and it was a bit like I mentioned, it was cinematic for me.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, everybody's experience is different. So at the end of every session, I leave it open for discussion. Like if anybody has any questions, if they experienced anything they want to talk about, of course, they can approach me afterwards to discuss it alone as well if
mhm,
they choose not to share in a group. But so I get a lot of feedback about seeing specific colors, like flashes of color. Some people have, like you said, the cinematic experience of memories that come up
mhm.
and things like that. Yeah. So everybody's experience is different.
And of course, well, I can cry at the drop of a hat. So I'm sure I cried a little, and so I mean, it was just.
Yeah.
And they say that it balances your chakras, and I still don't quite. I'm just being stubborn because, I should just learn already what a chakra is, but I, and you don't have to tell me, but
It's a
But
pretty etheric concept, yeah.
It can be as simple or as complicated as you want it to be.
Yeah. But
It-
in my Googling, the sound people use sound healing to balance chakras.
Or
And
to clear, yeah.
yeah. And okay, to clear. And intuitively, when you have someone in a session, what are the cues that you pick up on if you are feeling that they're blocked in certain areas? Is it
For me, I don't really like specifically identify a blocked area. My thing is to facilitate and let the sound, the vibration, and the frequency is going to do whatever it's going to do. And I think it's just like with Reiki energy, it goes where it needs to go. But you can, in a session, there's always a point, and it's about 15 to 20 minutes in, you can really see a person's breath rate. There's a certain, like, there's a release. Like, okay, the body has relaxed, the brain has quit fighting, the muscles are relaxing, and that's when because to me our body energetically and physically, it's a give and take. They're intertwined so well that one affects the other. There's just no getting around that. So when the physical body relaxes, the energetic body is affected. Same thing with being tense or traumatized. When you tighten up, the same thing happens. Physically, you shut up, you tighten up, and energetically, you tighten up.
yes.
Mhm.
Do you think the actual sound is just as effective if you're listening to it like over YouTube as opposed to being in the actual room with the PC? You know what
I
I'm
get asked that question every group session. Somebody asks me because they've been doing YouTube.
your competition.
And I may have people come after me about this, but no, I do not think it's this. I think they're both effective, because the sound itself is stimulating the vagus nerve, the way the bones in our ears pick up vibration. They are both effective, but completely different, I guess I would say. Because if you're looking for uh, the highest therapeutic result, the actual vibration around you, to me, is what uh, gets that result.
So
Because I don't know if you can hear those vibrations from a recording, but there's something about feeling
Feeling it,
it.
yeah.
Yeah, like because in a sound bath, you can feel it in your feet and your toes and your soul, like you can feel it more intensely in person.
Yeah.
So I guess it would be similar to just going to a live show, like a concert.
Yeah, that's a good way.
You
Very good analogy. I'm gonna have to. Can I
Yeah.
use that in my
Yes,
next session?
yes.
Okay.
It's gonna feel different to be in a concert.
That's a very good analogy.
Because
Yeah.
recorded music can sound very good in your headphones, so that's one way to it's different ways to experience it, maybe.
Right. Yeah.
And can I make another comment too? That because it's similar to yoga or going to Reiki shares or doing anything in a classroom setting, that there's also something special about being with other people in the room, and you're sharing that space, the camaraderie, even
Yeah,
if you barely.
I absolutely love to see the connections that are made in group sessions. And you have some people that come back regularly, I call them frequent flyers. They come back regularly as part of their self-care routine. So it's usually a good mix of first timers and people who are regulars. When I'm greeting people outside, I hear them in the room talking, and they introduce themselves. They talk about the frequent flyers will talk about their experiences and get everybody, it's just great to see. It's definitely a connection. Yeah.
And as a former frequent flyer, because so funny, like you are one of our practitioners here at Holistic Health and Healing. And I think I've been to one, maybe, since we've been here together. But I used to be a frequent flyer back when you were at Soul City. And you still do some there too. We'll talk about that later. But what I was going to say is, even I think probably every session I've gone to, I've had a different experience, and I think it depends on where you are, what you're needing from that session. You might have a different experience.
I follow you on social media, and I see that you're always doing fun things with other practitioners. So I really love how, would you say that's collaboration? How you
collaboration? Yeah, absolutely.
Do you want to share some of the ways that some of the collaborations and?
Oh, sure. Well, of course, I started out at Soul Synergy, so I've collaborated with quite a few yoga studios in town. There's such a holistic community here that has grown and grown. I mean, I grew up here, and I think I was telling Krista just that I always felt like the one lone kind of weirdo in Mississippi. Like, am I the only one who believes in natural medicine and Eastern philosophy and Chinese, and all that? But the community has grown and grown. So I think bringing that together, everybody that I work with has that same mindset. So we're like, what can we do? We're like, just like Resonant Cedar Tree Farms with Holistic Hearts collab. It's just a great group of people that have different talents, and we come together as a community and just kind of introduce people to self-care, different modalities, just to show them what's out there, and it doesn't have to be complicated. I think in our Western marketing of meditation and yoga, it's become it seems very complicated to people. So I think just being able to show them that you don't have to twist like a pretzel. That's not the point. You don't have to go to $1,000 spa to have, there are options here and there throughout the whole state, really. Part of what I've loved to have done in the past was I partnered with some people on the coast. I have friends on the coast, so they were like, come do a sound bath on the coast. So I've done sound baths on the coast. People just reach out, and I love to make new friends. I love to collaborate. So it's just been, I think part of really what keeps me going doing it is the making the friendships and building the community around this.
I just wanted to go back to mention the fact that back in, was it 2018, you did go back and get your Reiki Master certification. And then you also, was that in 2020, you got your yoga teacher training. And
yes, that was in the height of the COVID craze back. Yes, it was during the first COVID wave that summer. I did my yoga teacher training.
Yes. And so do you feel like you've been able to add aspects from those two trainings to be a part of your sound healing that you do?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Because during the session is, I will do, breath work that comes from yoga. I will offer different positions for people, so yeah, there's definitely a combination of bringing all that together for a session for sure. More so in the individual sessions, because the group session is kind of like, okay, we arrive at this time, but in the group sessions, there's really some very using different techniques for for their individual needs.
In an individual session, because you do offer that, you do offer private,
Yes,
sound healing sessions, and that's something you offer here at Holistic Health and Healing. You have a room in the back.
correct.
Do you ever, if the client's open to it, do you incorporate Reiki or yoga into those sessions if it's
Yes.
wanted
Yeah.
or requested?
Usually I ask them, anybody that's seeking out a private session is usually for a reason. Some just to experience it, but some for ongoing therapeutic reasons. So there's definitely a seeing what might add to the sound. You mentioned you were in the zero gravity chair, Emily, and I was like, well,
Yeah.
maybe that's why I heard, because usually I don't start somebody off in a zero gravity chair, because it's a sensory thing on top of the sound. On the ground, you're a little more grounded.
Yeah.
But in the zero gravity chair, it's a floating sensation. So there is a little more intensity to it. So I don't always be like, oh, get in the gravity chair for your first session.
So I got thrown into the deep end.
Yeah.
I
So,
needed
but
it.
yeah,
I needed it.
I
And
would use,
the other three people in there were all Reiki masters, and we were all Reikiing ourselves. So she was just
yeah,
Oh, y'all had me all.
she bamboozled you on your first go round. Yeah. But,
She's
but apparently
regretting.
I think it's what it was needed. So I think it was good. But yeah, definitely use yoga, energy medicine, sound, breath work, all combine all of that for sure.
If someone wants to contact you about your offerings, what's the best way for someone to contact you
Um,
or find out more?
Yeah, I'm on social media, so there's Facebook. It's Heartspace Holistic. On Instagram is jlee.heartspace. I've got a website. It's heartspacems.com. Yeah, so there's several. You can find me on the Holistic Health and Healing website. All my contact information is there.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful.
So, Jason, why would someone want to come have a sound bath? What are some of the benefits?
Yeah, so one of the benefits, well, there's quite a few benefits, is the relaxed state. Some people come just to relax. Like I said, some people come for specific therapeutic reasons. I am not a licensed therapist. I don't counsel people. I hold space, and let them experience their healing session. I'm there to talk, to provide an ear. Not a licensed counselor. I just want to put that out there. So there's no therapy going on in that sense. But so I have some clients who come to manage anxiety. I have clients who have had traumatic experiences and do not want to be touched or do not want to undress for a massage. So they get the same effects that a massage can provide similarly from a sound healing session. There are people with autism who have sensory needs. Now, on that, some people with sensory differences love a sound bath and some do not like it at all. So that's on a very individualized basis. So there's a lot of different reasons, from relaxation to pain management, because when you stop long enough for your body and your muscles to relax, there's serotonin, there's different hormones that can be released in a relaxated state that affect pain. So a lot of different reasons.
And in the group setting, during the group sessions, there's not any verbal interaction or talking during that, but after the session, you're more than happy to let
Oh,
someone
absolutely. Yeah.
debrief or decompress verbally
Yeah,
if they need to.
decompress. I love to get feedback. Not everybody wants to share openly. So
Mhm.
people, I always make myself available to talk afterwards privately if, people have questions or want to share their experiences.
Mhm.
I was just in just a little research about sound healing. I read somewhere that people with epilepsy, it might not be the best thing for them. Is that
Yeah, I'm glad you brought. I do
yeah.
like to touch on the contraindications. So yeah, epilepsy would be one uh, condition to be cautious of. Now, you could, if people want to try it, uh, and you seek it out, just make sure the practitioner knows of a medical condition.
Yeah.
Hearing aids, take those out
Yeah.
before you go into a session. And then the sensory, also pregnancy. I'm very cautious with pregnancies
Oh.
because of the relaxation response. So if someone is pregnant, I usually uh, ask that you make me aware or the practitioner aware. And I've read and studied that it's pretty good advice to avoid it in the earlier terms of pregnancies. But later terms, you know,
Yeah.
if you're
Oh.
ready to have
I was gonna say, I wonder if anybody's ever gone into labor, like gone to a sound bath to help induce labor.
it could be an area to explore.
You might-
I have had quite a few pregnant ladies, but they were very pregnant and very far along, do sound baths and no issues whatsoever. Um,
Mhm.
yeah.
But because it's a vibrational modality, even if someone has hearing loss, they can still benefit from a sound bath,
Yeah,
correct?
you still get the vibration in the bones of the ear. The experience will be, it'll be different experience, but it'd still be effective. Yeah.
What about children and sound
Um,
healing?
yeah, the youngest child that I have had in a session, I think he was 4 at the time. And I've had quite a few children come to sessions. Now smaller kids, I'm always like, well, yeah, they can come, but let's be, and he sat there and I watched him the whole time. He was wide awake, but he stayed on his mat. He just, he just kind of listened. And he didn't get into that meditative state or anything like that. I haven't had a lot of younger kids do that. They either just sit there and kind of wondering what in the world's going on. But yeah, kids, be very cautious about bringing them, especially to a group session.
Yeah.
Not opposed at all to working with kids, but it's probably something you want to explore more on an individual basis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about location? I mean, are you going to get different experiences in outdoor compared to
Yes.
inside? Or
Yeah.
room?
Yeah. So especially indoors, the size of the room has an effect on the experience. It's just different. It's not good or bad. It's just different. And outside, I love to do outside sound baths. We've done them at Fairview Inn in Jackson. They have a beautiful deck. In the spring, we usually do them spring and when the weather's good. Under the trees, there's owls that hoot and add to the sound. So yeah, it's totally they're different experiences, but all effective in different ways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Love that. Yeah, because I know I used to go to them when you were in Eco Shed and there in Fondren, and there was very echoey, so it felt
Yeah.
that had a different feel compared to when we used to be at the old Soul Synergy location, and now here at Holistic Health and Healing in the classroom. That's such a we call that room, it's like the womb. It's like you're in
It envelops you. Yeah.
so yeah, all those places, it just feels different. One's not better than the other, but it was different. It was
Yeah.
different.
Definitely. And, the side, like at Eco Shed, the difference in the building or the facility, it takes a different type of playing the bowls to get the sound to do what it needs to do. So yeah, it's a much more gentle play in the classroom here at Holistic Health and Healing than it was at Eco Shed, which is an industrial concrete, beautiful place. Yeah, it's the location definitely, you have to change the way you play, sometimes you change the way people are laid out, but yeah, you have to take all that into consideration.
Yeah.
When you're collaborating with someone, does it take a lot of practice to just say if you're collaborating with a yoga instructor to
Not really. Everybody that I've worked with is so good at their craft, what they do, their art form. So it kind of just melds together. Jennifer and I have done restorative yoga and sound bath together at Holistic Health and Healing, and it's just kind of like we just kind of weave it in, it's just
Yeah.
like, yeah.
Mhm.
Now we did recently for resonance, they did a group sound bath, so we did practice for that quite a bit because there were instruments, like actual musical instruments involved, and some drumming. So it took work to make sure everything panned out nice throughout the session. But Lindley Healy she did the guitar. So, but I can hear, a tone and a couple times I had to be like, okay, y'all bring it just not so fast, sensory wise. So I definitely gave sensory feedback to the musicians.
Cool. That's cool. So how long did your group sessions usually last?
They're scheduled for an hour, and that leaves a few minutes, for opening up and then closing. So the complete sound playing is about 45 minutes to 50 minutes. And the rest is, getting people situated and then bringing them back
Yes.
from that meditative state, like making sure they're grounded and awake, and time in there to discuss their experiences.
And so typically, for a first timer coming to a group sound bath, you usually have them lying on a yoga mat with
Mhm.
bolsters and pillows. You get them all comfortable. If they want to sit in an easy seated pose, is that okay too? Do you just kind of
Oh,
let them find?
absolutely. Yeah, there's no right or wrong. So the most, you suggest lying on the back with the bolsters under the knees, Savasana position.
Mhm.
But one thing I stress in the session is that it's your time, it's your session. If you like to lie on your side, you can do that, and just give different positioning, how to use the bolster in different positions. If people don't want to be on their back for different reasons. I'm also big on accessibility. So if yoga mats are not preferable for physical differences, whatever, then we would bring in the chairs, different bolsters, positioning, and things like that. So there,
I know I tend to
there
be
are
one of those
options.
people a lot. I don't stay in one. I said I'm one of those that wiggled a lot during sound baths.
Yeah.
I would change positions
Yeah.
constantly.
Yeah. But
So,
mostly once people find where they want to be in the beginning, they stay there. But some people will flip and flop.
I'm a
Especially first timers, when it's the brain, it's the letting the relaxation happen, letting that brain stop. And but yeah, so
and so like I said, I had many different experiences over the past few years, experiencing the sound healing, and some of them were just relaxing, but some of them, frankly, were intense. And some of them, like with Emily, I didn't have the exact experience she did, but there were a few I can remember. I mean, I don't know how many sound baths I've had with you, but there were one or two early on that some significant physical sensations occurred, and even and of course some a mental and emotional releases, and I would even say healing happened. So I love what you said at the beginning, to set intention but have no expectations. And if someone does experience something they're not familiar with, or what could be an unpleasant, what would you suggest? How they, well, I think I already know what you're going to say, breath, but
breath. But also, it is perfectly okay during a session if you feel like you need to exit the session to do so. I mean, that's all. Don't ever stay in an environment or a situation that is not for your highest good.
I will find that anytime that things did feel intense, if I, just took a few
Take it back
deep
to the
breaths
breath.
and go back to the breath, I was back. And when I say intense, it was just, you just notice things. We stay so busy. I mean, very seldom do we just be still, and then we're being still and having all this sensory input coming from frequency and vibration for someone who's not used to that. But that's been if you always give everybody a big
but yeah, anytime, and I watch people in a session there. I'm a nurse, so I'm watching their responses, their physical responses, especially their breath. So you can tell, and there's a tempo, so it starts off kind of slow, but it does build up. I mean, it does build to a vibration. But I can always tell when I need to tone it down, or even pick it up for some people. But and a lot of times too, people who come to sessions, they'll email me with questions, and so I already have a little idea of what their intent is, or their reason for seeking it out, how to proceed from there. Yeah.
When's the next group session? When can people try it out? Or
yeah, well, we have them at Holistic Health and Healing. Usually new moon sound baths around the new moon.
So the next one is April 23rd, right? Okay.
23rd at Holistic Health and Healing. It's a Sunday afternoon at 2:00. We are doing them at the Synergy Salt Cave and Wellness Center down from Soul Synergy the first Saturday of every month. That's in the Salt Cave, which is a really cool experience with the halo therapy, the salt therapy, and the sound bath combined. And then May 6th, the Mississippi Museum of Art has invited me to be a part of their grief series that they are doing. So we'll be doing a sound bath. They have a beautiful outdoor area, and we'll be offering a sound bath as an exploration of a grief healing. So I'm really looking forward to that. But yeah, just check out the websites and Instagram. Sometimes they just come out of nowhere because somebody will want to collaborate, and we'll just do it. So you have to kind of follow.
Because I know you do things with, like you said, other yoga studios, other therapeutic connections. If there's a group or a business who want to have you come do a session there.
Corporate wellness events are an option. Just contact me at my email address, jlee@heartspacemos.com.
Wonderful.
It's an honor to have you on here.
It's an odd. This is my first podcast. I don't know if you know that.
Are you serious?
Yeah. So I was your first and you're my first.
Yes. Was it good for you?
Oh, it was wonderful.
I hope we were gentle with you.
Yes.
Some more topics, but since was your first time, we want to take it slow and be easy and
Mhm.
Well, thank you.
this might be
I appreciate the caressing.
a good bigger next time, okay?
Yeah, I'll be ready.
Hopefully this is the first of many conversations with
This is
the
fun. I
sound
look
healer.
forward. I would love to do more. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. Well, y'all have a great evening.
Y'all too. Thank you.
The views expressed by guests are their own, and their appearance on the program does not imply an endorsement of them or any entity they represent.